My dad and I fight a lot. We don't always see eye to eye, and because we're both stubborn, it's hard for us to get over things. But we can always patch things up when we decide to go fishing. My dad and I might get into an argument one day, and after a little while of us barely talking, I'll be alone in my bedroom, and he'll knock on the door and walk in and say something along these lines. Hey, bud, the river's not looking so bad tomorrow, and if you want, we can even hit the beaches afterwards. What do you say we go out tomorrow, just you and me, and go fishing? I always say something like, yeah, sure, or I guess so, or that's fine with me. But in reality, I'm always glad he invites me because it's the one time where we spend together where there's no stress, no fighting, and no judgment. Figuratively, it's an olive branch, and while I always act like I'm not really that excited, I honestly am deep down. Going out into nature and getting away from the pressures of life like work, school, and bills, it helps you get a breath of fresh air, both figuratively and literally. Being out on the water in the morning with my dad is sort of like a spiritual cleansing for the both of us. We're there to fish, of course, but it's less about that and more about us and resetting our relationship. When we're out, my dad will always drop any talk about the arguments we've had, and we just become friends, equals for the day. We'll vent about our problems without getting too deep into them, talk about any cool movies we might want to see, and maybe even new TV shows coming up on the horizon for us to watch with the rest of our family. And the whole time we'll just crack jokes and goof off and have fun. By the end of the day, after casting our lines probably over 1,000 times and talking and laughing so much our cheeks go sore, we typically work up an appetite and grab some food. During our meal, we'll reminisce on the day, but really we both know that an apology has to come from somewhere. It always does, and we always reconcile before heading home and finishing our meal. We drive back, and as we move along the creeks and railroad tracks I grew up living next to and playing in when I was just a little boy, I think back on how much better my relationship with my dad has gotten since those days. As we pull into the driveway and unload our things, the same thought always manages to creep its way into my head. My dad and I fight a lot. We don't always see eye to eye, and because we're both stubborn, it's hard for us to get over things. But we can always patch things up when we decide to go fishing.